Hello everyone. Welcome. It is Monday, August 24th, 2020, and I am in south of Minneapolis, Minnesota today, and it's actually nice and cool right now. It's supposed to be heat index of 102 later today, but they had some rain that went through that cooled it down, so it feels really nice right now. A little bit of breeze, and don't feel any of the mosquitoes yet upon me. So hope you guys had a great weekend, and I know that I had one of the best weekends of my life. Actually, it was really a good fun time out in Rapid City, South Dakota. I enjoy thoroughly going to adventure, different state parks, different waterfalls, places I've never seen before, and so I actually had a little bit of time to do a little adventuring around the ministry that I was doing on Saturday night. So very thankful for that. In fact, I'll talk a little bit about that. In fact, I'll be talking about our message of the day, which is God is speaking to you. Are you paying attention to his signs? I'm going to talk about a lot of the signs that I saw on my journey, around there, on the way back, and how the Lord was speaking to me a whole bunch, which is really cool. I always look for, I guess I'm in tune, put it that way, in tune with words that are on signs and numbers and clouds and however the Lord wants to speak, because I want to know what the Lord's saying. And so anyway, it was a great weekend. Talk a little bit about, so on Friday, I went to Mount Rushmore and prayed for the country, for the nation, for President Trump, prayed for the evil ones who were trying to bring down our country, for them to be exposed so that they won't be able to steal what God has blessed us with. I was thinking about that too, just how blessed that we are to live in the United States, how the entire world, really has seen just the beauty of the United States and how we've been blessed so much, and how the enemy is so much wanting to come against that, to hurt and to shut down and to collapse and to riot and to bring evil stuff all over this country. And the Lord obviously does not want that to happen, and we need to have people that are in charge who also agree with trying to keep law and order and respect. I mean, respect has really been stolen and taken away from the entire country. Respect for the highest office in the land, the president. Respect, and it's been evil what the media, the liberal media, has been doing, and how many of them need to be just cleansed and taken away from the jobs that they're doing, because they're doing a lot of damage. When you end up reporting lies and twisted truths and so forth to try to manipulate people, that's exactly what the spirit of Jezebel does on an individual basis, is to try to spread lies and rumors about a person so they can turn other people away from them or get other people to be angry and join in on their hating. And it's not cool. God knows the truth, and God sees the truth, and he is exposing a lot of people who have been doing a lot of evil and deep, dark things and secretive things. So and that's part of deliverance. You get delivered, you wouldn't have to go through all that stuff. But when people choose not to, and they're going to be hearing demons. When they hear a lot of demonic stuff in their minds, it's going to ruin their lives. They're not going to have peace and so forth. So anyway, Friday, did my Mount Rushmore Facebook Live. We went on a quick tour of the area, got to see an eagle flying over the heads of the presidents. That was cool. And then I decided to go see some waterfalls, because I love waterfalls, just very peaceful. So I found one that was called Spearfish Falls, and that is located like northwest of Mount Rushmore. You have to drive, the shortest distance the GPS took me was on a bunch of gravel roads for like 5 miles. So that wasn't fun driving on all that, but eventually got to the waterfall, had to walk about, half a mile to get there. Wasn't too bad. And beautiful waterfall. Then I went to another one called Rough something Falls, and that was pretty. And then I needed to get a haircut. Of course, I got a haircut because my hair is shorter. and I saw some billboards on my way out there. Of course, you see a lot of billboards for wall drug, like 1,000 of them, and a place called what's it called? Fire Station Brewery, something like that, which I've actually eaten at about a year ago when I came and visited there. They have all these fire trucks on the side of the interstate, along with the billboard. Like, they had like 3 in 1 mile. I mean, I could not believe I'd never seen 3 billboards for the same thing advertised within the mile, but they probably advertised it at least, I don't know, 20 times for that specific restaurant to eat at. But anyway, they had a place called the Man Salon that they advertised. And I'm like, the Man Salon? I'm like, well, that's an interesting name. And I felt led to go there to get my hair cut. I didn't even check. I normally, Google sport clips and get my hair cut. And so anyway, I felt led to go to the Man Salon. So went to the Man Salon Friday afternoon, I guess it was. And when I walked in, wasn't wearing a mask. I didn't wear a mask at all. South Dakota is a maskless state, but there were still some people that were wearing them. Small percentage. Anyway, I went into the place, didn't have a mask on, because I'm thinking and praying, God, don't have them make me wear a mask to get my hair cut, please. And so I went in there, and the lady had her mask on, and then she sits me down and starts to cut my hair. And I'm like, I don't have to wear a mask? And she's like, nope. I'm like, yes, this is awesome. I go, all the sport clips I've been to, they always make you wear one. And I'm like, I don't like to wear them. It's not fun. You can't breathe well. And it doesn't really do a good job of keeping you from any sickness and stuff, even though they try to sell it to you that way. So anyway, come to find out, I asked the lady, I'm like, I go, are you originally from here, Rapid City? She said, no, from New York, like upper New York, upstate New York. I'm like, really? I'm like, wow. I go, that's not a good place to be in right now. She's like, no. I go, how long ago did you move? She said, in March. I'm like, well, that was a great time. Did you plan it? She said, no. When everything started to get shut down, I'm like, I'm out of here. So she moved from New York to Rapid City, South Dakota. I'm like, well, that's a great place to move to. I go, because it's so open here, and very few people have COVID there. So she said, yep, that's why I made the decision. And she goes, I really love it out here. It's much more freeing and much happier people and so forth. So anyway, had a great experience getting my hair cut. And then did some ministry that night with River House in Jacksonville, Florida, via Facebook Live / Zoom. That was awesome. And then that night, the Lord told me, He said, I want you to go enjoy yourself. I want you to go have some fun on Saturday. Because I was doing ministry Saturday night. And I normally don't have time when I'm doing these on the weekend. I normally come in on a Friday night, and then Saturday I have to set up in the morning, and then I do a lot of prayer walking around the hotel complex and outside, and then I rest for a couple hours and then do the ministry that night. So anyway, I had already set my books out on Friday. They let me go into the room early. In fact, I think this was the first time that they ever, at this courtyard in Rapid City, ever had an event there. And so it was kind of an honor to be there for the first one, because it's a brand new hotel. And so anyway, got my books all situated. So that night, Friday night, I'm looking for something, some place that I can go visit, some state park or something that's cool. So I saw and found one that was called Custer State Park. I'm like, Custer? So I looked at it, and they had a bunch of buffalo that were there. I'm like, well, that'll be cool to see some buffalo. So then that next morning, Saturday morning, before I left, I asked the lady in charge of the check-in process there at the hotel, have you ever been to Custer State Park? And she said, yes. She goes, it's beautiful. You should go. I'm like, okay, I'm planning to go. I go, they have buffalo there, right? She goes, yes. She goes, but don't get too close, because you could get your pants ripped off, like the woman that happened to her last week, the biker woman. And I'm like, what? I'm like, are you kidding? That really happened? And she said, yeah, you can Google it. You can see it. They have the video. I'm like, somebody videotaped a buffalo ripping the pants off of a lady? I'm like, oh my goodness. So sure enough, you can Google search like biker woman pants buffalo Custer State Park, and you can find the video. And the video, the one that I had watched, it was about a 2.5 minute video, and they showed I don't know how many bikers, probably 10, that had parked their motorcycles on the road, and then the buffalo were in front of them. And then the one lady that was the one that had the pants ripped off, she got closer and closer and was taking these pictures, and with about, I don't know, the last minute of it, you can see the buffalo picks her up and twists her around, I think twice, and then she comes out of the pants, and then she falls to the ground, and then the buffalo runs off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you don't see that every day. That's crazy. And then people ran up to her, took their shirts off and put them on her, and carried her off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing and crazy. And a validation to not get really close to buffalo, because if you do, they could rip your pants off. She did have a concussion. She was unconscious, I think, when they picked her up. She didn't die, which is a good thing. I didn't read any interviews that she did after that, if she did any, but it's on USA Today. It's on a whole bunch of different places now, because they all picked it up. So anyways, so I went there, and I'm going to be talking about that as I go through my blog. So I'm not going to go through a bunch of this up front. I was going to do that initially, but I will say this. So I went to Walmart to get some food, and they had signs up saying that Walmart requires you to wear a mask. And I'm like, seriously, this is a non-masked state. I'm not going to wear my mask. You know, I don't like wearing masks. And it was interesting. So I walked in, and I'm breathing nice and normal, going over, getting some grapes, getting some bread, getting some sweet tea, chips, and everybody that I was looking there at Walmart was wearing a mask. And I'm like, wait a minute, you guys are a maskless state. This is conundrum time. Well, then I ended up seeing a lady that didn't have a mask on. So I went up to her and I said, hey, great job, no mask, yay. And she looked at me and smiled. And then I saw another couple kids, teenagers, I think, that didn't have any on. And so then I ended up checking myself out and left, and was like, wow. And of course, at the Marriott, too, that I was at, the Courtyard, they also had a sign up saying wear masks, and I didn't wear a mask the whole time, and nobody said anything. And what I'm starting to learn about this whole mask business is that if you are not wanting to wear one, and you stand up for yourself, yes, you could be persecuted. You could have people that come up to you. You could have the people that own the place come up to you. But you can also take a stand and say, no, I'm not going to do this. And then the Lord can bless you, protect you. You know, I don't wear them only because I'm not afraid of anything, catching anything, period. I don't worry about that. Now that I've learned and walked in this divine health authority that Jesus Christ wants us to all walk in, but we have to have faith in him for that versus faith in something else like a doctor and medication and masks and so forth. So anyway, I've done this now since 2009, so it's been 11 straight years. I don't fear anything. Now, back in 2009 when I was learning this, I probably would have been freaking out and said, oh my gosh, because that's how I learned it, is the enemy would try to put stuff on me, and I'd have pain in my body. I had a back thing that popped out. I could hear the disc pop out. I prayed, commanded it to be healed. It took 2.5 days before it was 100% healed. I didn't take anything for it. I haven't taken anything but Tylenol, ibuprofen, nothing, over-the-counter stuff for, 2009, so 11 straight years. I don't spend any money on health care, don't have any health insurance, so, and I don't worry about it. God's my divine health plan, so anyway. What I'm learning about this whole mask thing is if you can't, it's a test, really, it really is. It's like, gee, how much do you really trust in the Lord to protect you versus how much do you protect in man and his way? So anyways, that's all I'm saying about that. It was interesting on the ministry on Saturday night at the Courtyard, had one lady afterwards that said, okay, I've gone through a whole bunch of Jezebels with my family, and I want to pay back the enemy. You know, I want to be certified under Restored to Freedom so that I can help others get delivered. So that was a great breakthrough. Another man got major breakthrough, and he was, having tears and stuff before we started, and remembering some of the pains of the past. And then by the end of it, he was smiling and laughing, and he also was, interested in saying, well, it'd be great to be a part of the RTF team. So So anyway, it was a great night, and then I ended up driving back 8 hours to south of Minneapolis, and I started seeing a bunch of different signs, which I want to talk about, the different signs of cities, on billboards, numbers, counties, and so forth. And then the Lord was speaking to me. In fact, it was interesting when I went out there I got out there Thursday afternoon, late afternoon. As I exited off the interstate after driving 8 hours to go to the hotel, there was a vehicle in front of me that was like an RV pulling a car, and the car had Indiana license plates on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are the chances seeing me being from Indiana, going all the way out there, and having a car that had Indiana plates on it. So pretty cool. All right, so the title of today's topic is God is speaking to you. Are you paying attention to his signs? So God speaks to us in many different ways, through our dreams, visions, our thoughts, sensing in our spirit, our conscience, through other godly people, through numbers, words, clouds, myriad of things. Even, I believe, animals. I didn't put that in the blog, but yeah, I see deer a lot. I saw a deer Saturday when I went to Custer State Park. I didn't stop for it to take a picture like I would normally do because I was going, I don't know, 60 miles an hour. But deer, eagles, see a lot of eagles all the time. I saw more eagles on Saturday, which I'll talk about here. And then literal signs that you see, on the streets, on the road. I see a lot of different signs that the Lord will speak to me about when I'm driving past them. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting that sign was just there. So again, this past weekend I was doing ministry in Rapid City, South Dakota for the first time. Enjoyed visiting Mount Rushmore for the third time I've been there. And then adventuring on to new roads, sometimes gravel. And got to go see new places, including Spearfish Falls. Rough Lock Falls is the name of the place, which is right within a mile of Spearfish Falls. That was on Friday. And then Saturday morning went to a new place never been to before called Custer State Park. And they had buffalo that roamed there. And of course the Courtyard Marriott lady said that it had ripped off the pants from a lady that was there the week before, a buffalo. And then the video you can actually find. So interesting. So I hopped in my car and I began to drive. And again, whenever I'm driving, I'm always very in tune with the signs that I'm driving past, seeing if the Lord is going to speak to me about whatever, and looking at the clouds and nature and so forth. So as I began driving, I noticed, first of all, there were a couple of eagles that were circling like right above the road that I was heading down. And I've seen that a lot, where I'll see the eagles flying around like in circles or flying over the road back and forth. So whenever I see that, it always just reminds me of the Lord wanting us to have eagle-eye vision. First of all, to discern if a person is a person you can trust or not, because there's a lot of people out there that you can't trust. That they'll say that they're godly and pure and sweet and delivered and so forth, but then they'll want to control you, want to manipulate you, want to go off on you, and want to lie about you. So we have to have eagle-eye vision for that, but we also have to have eagle-eye vision to see a person who is hurting, who wants to be healed and delivered. You have to be able to see who they really are in Christ, and then give them a word to help them in their path towards who they really truly are in Christ. So a lot of people have been hurt sexually, have been hurt by moms and dads, violations, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, and so forth, and they've heard a lot of demonic thoughts in their head, and then they don't really know who they are in Christ. And so by giving them a word saying this is who you're going to be, of course you have to go through inner healing and deliverance to get to that part. You can't just puff them up with great prideful, this is who you're going to be, because I know a lot of people that do that. They go from conference to conference to conference looking for words, word seekers, and then they get a word and it makes them feel good, and then it puffs up their pride, but they never humble themselves. They never take inventory of their own issues, and they don't forgive people, and so they have a lot of pride and anger still in them, and so they end up exploding on people or lying about people. So anyway, if you have the the Lord's eagle eye vision, you can tell them this is who you are, but you can also give them a word saying there's some things you need to do first before you get to that point. You know, of course, a lot of people want to hear all these great words, but I know of a lot of people that go from place to place for years and years, and they never see that word come to pass. It never manifests because they didn't do their part, which we have to do. All right, so also another thing I'll talk about is with eagles, when they're battling snakes, you know, and that's very symbolic. A lot of times people see snakes in their dreams and so forth when they're battling Jezebel, because that's kind of what they are. It's kind of a term you refer to a person, you're a snake, when you can't trust them, when you can't really believe what they're saying. And so what does the eagle do when it gets into a battle with a snake? You know, if the eagle just stays on the ground and they have like a rattlesnake that comes up, they'll get normally attacked and they could die. So the birds need to pick up the snake with their talons, carry them up on high, and then drop them once they get up there, whatever, a quarter mile or half mile or whatever, and then drop them. And when they drop them, they come down and they die. And so that's what we have to do, is we have to go up spiritually if we're battling someone that has the Jezebel spirit. You can't battle them, you know, in a battle of words, because if you do, then you're on their level. And they love to provoke and provoke you, to try to get you angry and to get you to lose your patience. You know, so don't ever get into a verbal confrontation, because it doesn't normally turn out well. So the best thing you can do is you can pray for them from afar, spiritually, that their eyes are open, that they get humbled by the Lord, and you give them to the Lord. You know, don't be going out there and blabbing your mouth to, you know, 1,000 people and trying to get them to hate the person. You know, give them to the Lord. You know, the Lord's is not that way. It's vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. So again, it's never good to get into a verbal thing, and that's what we see a lot in politics. Is when there's people that are verbally attacking people. You know, it's always best to just stay quiet, give them to God, because they kind of appear as a fool and they expose themselves. So, but we never want to engage with someone demonic in words. Just go to the war in the spirit by prayer and fasting. So, here I go on Saturday, drive into Custer State Park, and I had nowhere to go, or I had no idea where to go, because the place is one of the largest state parks in the country, in America. It's 71,000 acres, which is pretty darn big for a state park. And they gave me a map, and I'm like, okay, where do I go? You know, I didn't ask the park ranger, where should I go? I just said, okay, Holy Spirit, show me. And the first thing he directed me to do was to go down towards where the buffalo were. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. I want to see buffalo. So I turned left. I entered from the east side of the park, and I think it's called Wildlife Trail or something. And as I'm driving for about 20 minutes, I don't see much. I'm like, okay, this is kind of boring. And I see they have an airport there. I'm like, they have an airport inside of a state park? I'm like, wow, that's unusual. And then eventually there was a couple cars that stopped, and I looked over and there were some buffalo, but they were not roaming. They were sleeping. They were like laying down. And I was like, okay, well, that's boring. You know, and they were like, I don't know, 200 feet from me, so they weren't even close. So I took a picture, and I'm like, well, that doesn't do justice to the buffalo or the picture. It's non-post worthy of Facebook. I got to have a buffalo that's close so that I can actually hear it, you know. And so I drove on, and I kept driving, and I didn't see any more buffalo. I'm like, okay, where are the buffalo at? Do they all have them in their corrals today? And well, the next thing I saw was some burros / donkeys, that there were a couple of cars ahead of me, and the donkeys were coming up, the burros, and they were coming up to the cars, and the people were handing the burros food, like carrots. And so I'm like, well, I'll get this on video. This is kind of cool. And so got it on video, and it was like they were tame, even though they were wild burros. And there's probably a total of 5 or 6 that I saw. And then there was like 4 or 5 that were standing away from the road, that were the more maybe skittish burros that weren't they weren't bold and confident like the other one was. The other one just came up like this was like a petting zoo, and it's like, hey, where's my food? So anyway, these girls, young girls, were in the back of this car, van or something, and they were passing out carrots and other food probably. The only thing that I had to pass out to them was my lunch, because I took my lunch for a picnic, and I'm like, I am not going to give them my lunch. So I could give them some gum, but I don't know how good that would be for them. So anyways, so anyway, I ended up driving on from there. And I looked on the map, and it said Buffalo Corrals. I'm like, Buffalo Corrals, okay, great. We're going to definitely see some buffalo here. So then as I went to where the buffalo should be, to roam, there were no buffalo. I didn't see any corrals. I didn't see any buffalo, period. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. So I kept driving. Well, where are the buffalo at? Are they all up in the mountains? Are they in the woods? They're not roaming, and they're not there on the road for me to be within a couple of feet from. So anyways, I was like, wow, Lord. I go, that was kind of disappointing. I came all the way over here. It was only like 30 minutes from the hotel, but I'm like, this is disappointing, kind of a waste. I go, where are the buffalo at? He said, I got a surprise for you. I'm like, you do? Really? I'm like, well, right now I'm surprised because I'm a little bit disappointed, and I'd rather not be. And so I continued to drive, and it was interesting. You're supposed to drive 25 miles an hour, but I mean, some people were driving like 20, and it was like, that's annoying as well. Like you can't see any wildlife, and you're going super slow to see nothing. I'm like, so a couple places I had to pass, or they pulled over, and I'm going faster than 25, trying to search and find the buffalo. Where are the buffalo at? Hello, trying to find you, buffaloes. Where are you at? So within about, I don't know, 10 more minutes, all of a sudden, I come upon, I don't know, trees, and there is a buffalo in the road, and the buffalo is walking towards me. And I'm like, now we're talking. That's what I want to see. So I park my car, get my camera on my phone, do the video, and the buffalo walks right past me, probably within 5 feet. You know, I might have been able to put my hand out and punched him, but I think he would have frowned upon that, and he had big horns, and I didn't want to have my pants ripped off like the women, or get my car gouged. So I did nothing, and just watched him walk right past. And the video's on Facebook, so you guys can watch it, both on Nelson Schuman and Restored to Freedom. So that was very cool. And I thank the Lord. Like, Lord, thank you. Thank you for that moment of a very close up. I mean, you could hear him walking with his hooves and breathing. And so that's really cool. That was special. And I had seen that once before in my life when I took my kids out to Yellowstone. My kids and my wife, we went out on a vacation, and there were 3 of them that walked down the road right past us. So that was very cool. What was interesting was after, there were 2 cars behind the buffalo that were driving, and the third one that came stopped, and he talked to me, and he said, you got to be careful with those buffaloes. I'm like, I know, they'll rip your pants off. And he didn't know about that story, so I told him about it. He's like, oh my gosh. He said, well, last week, he goes, I was I don't know, at a different place, and there were buffalo, and it started to actually charge him. I'm like, what? I go, you were out of your car? He said, no, I was in my car. I'm like, it was charging your car? He said, yeah. I'm like, wow, I would have loved to see a video of that. And he said, I go, what'd you do? He said, well, I had to start speeding up. He goes, we outdrove it, because I don't know how fast they run. They could probably go, I don't know, I have no idea. At least I would think 20 miles an hour. So anyways, it was good to know. And then after that, you know, I was like, thank you, God. Thank you, Lord, for letting me see the buffalo that close. And then I went to another place that was supposed to be a place you could look out and see pretty stuff, and they had a bunch of trees in the way you couldn't see. So then I drove to a lake, their biggest lake. They have 5 lakes there at Custer State Park. Drove over there and got out and had a picnic by myself, nice and quiet, and there was a couple of boats in the lake. And then I noticed there were 3 eagles that were flying in circles over the lake. And I'm like, well, that's cool. Thank you, Lord, for the eagles. There they are again. Then all of a sudden I saw 2 more eagles join in, and then 2 more eagles. It was like 7 eagles going around and around in circles. That was cool. And then there were a couple of other people that came up to have, well, they were fishing is what they were both doing. And there was an older couple that was probably in their 80s, and then there was a younger couple that had kids. that were fishing there. So then, after I ate that, and, and again, you know, the eagles, I see the eagles everywhere. The eagles, I don't know, they follow me, and they're quite eagle-ish. They're just very nice to see. They're very majestic and so forth, so really enjoy seeing the eagles. And so then I ended up driving on to another lake called Legion Lake. And Legion, of course, the man at the Gazarenes that had Legion, they couldn't chain him up. He was crazy. And finally, Jesus came and cast him out into, they asked to go, you know, wait a minute, is that the one? I'm trying to think they asked. Yeah, that's the one that went to the pigs, and the pigs went down into the lake and drowned themselves. So when I went to the Legion Lake, I was thinking, I wonder if these fish have Legion. Maybe I should cast them out. I go, but if I do, they may ask to go into the pigs, and the pigs will start running all over the state park, and then you'll have crazy pigs everywhere. So I decided not to. Anyway, made a joke, and the Lord laughed at the joke that I had. So, so then I decided to go on to Needles Highway. Needles Highway. And when I got on it, it led out to where there were several tunnels that you would drive your car through, which I thought would be cool to go through. I didn't realize quite how narrow that the tunnels were. The first one, I did a video of it, and it was probably 20 feet long. The next one was probably 100 feet long, and it was taller as far as the tunnel, the height of it. It was still width-wise, probably I had an extra 8 inches maybe on each side. I think it was like 8 foot something wide, and only, of course, one car can go through it at a time. So I took a picture of it. It looks really, really cool. You can see that on Facebook. But it was called Needle's Eye Tunnel. And the Lord was showing me about the eye. You know, it's easier, Matthew 19:24, Jesus said, it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. And the term eye of a needle is used as a metaphor for a very narrow opening. And it occurs several times throughout the Talmud, which is Jewish religious law. And it's, a lot of people think that it's the actual needle, like a small itsy bitsy needle. No, it's like an entrance point into, I don't know, like a larger, either multiple homes or whatever, but it's really hard to get through it. Oftentimes the camels can go through it, but they have to get down on their knees to kind of scooch through that, what they call the eye of the needle. And so it's the point that Jesus was making, and the teaching was, it's going to be really, really hard for a person who's wealthy to get into heaven. And the reason why is because they trust their money. You know, I used to have a lot of money, and the Lord, I remember, this is back in 2008, said, what is it that you want out of your life? Actually, it's 2007 when he told me. What is it that you want out of your life? I was going through a divorce I didn't want to go through. And I had a lot of money, but I didn't have any peace. And so I said, well, the Lord, I guess I would rather have, you know, peace if I had to choose, because all this money is not doing anything. All I've got is stress and striving and brokenness in relationships, and I don't like that. And the Lord said, I will do that for you. I will take away all the money that you have, and then I will give you peace, and I'll change your heart. And when I change your heart, and you have my heart, then I can bring back more money to you, because I can trust you, and you'll use it for kingdom purposes and not for your own selfish purposes. Because a lot of times people, when they get money, they use it for their own selfish purposes. They don't use it for kingdom purposes. And of course, I don't have a house, I don't have a home, I just have a car. I live in my car and travel and stay in other people's homes, and some of the time stay in hotels. And now I've learned about Airbnbs. So anyway, so I took the picture. Looks really, really cool. It looks kind of like an Indiana Jones picture. Really, really cool. And the Lord, again, you know, symbolically had reminded me that what it takes for people to get to heaven, that there's only a small percentage that are church attenders, regular church attenders, that are going to make it to heaven. A small percentage of them. You know, I would guess 5% that are the true remnant. That are those who have been healed from their soul wounds and delivered, and they actually are who they are behind closed doors. as well as in front of people in the church, because there's a lot of people that are fakes. It's our fruit. The Lord looks at our fruit. How is our heart and our mind? Is it selfish? Is it ungodly? Is it sexually impure? Are you fornicating? Are you pornography? All these evil things. Are you selfish? Are you mean to people? Controlling? So when you get delivered, you have the fruit of the Spirit. Those are the remnant. Those are the people that will make it through the eye of the needle, like a camel would, into heaven. So and I'll say this too, that the roads were narrow to get to that point even. They oftentimes would have let two vehicles go by each other, but you would have probably, 12 inches between you and going past another vehicle to get there. So it was not easy to go through on the way there. And of course, Matthew 7:21-23 says, I never knew you. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness, which is sin. So there's a lot of people. When I grew up, I thought that all we had to do was to ask Jesus into our hearts, and we were saved. Good to go. Yay. But then I learned that there's a lot of people that have done that, but then their behavior stinks to high heaven, and it's horrible. I don't care if you can prophesy and you can pray in tongues or cast out demons from people. That's what that verse talks about. What matters is, who are you behind closed doors? Do you have fruit? And is it consistent? Are you consistently loving and gentle, good, the fruit of the Spirit? Having joy, patience, self-control. Because if not, then you need to go through deliverance. You need to forgive people for hurting you, because the fruit of how you behave and your heart and your mind is what's going to dictate whether you make it to heaven or not. And that's what a lot of people don't want to hear. They want to say, oh no, hyper grace is really good. God loves us no matter what. We can't be perfect. Oh my gosh, we can go ahead, keep on sinning, and maybe occasionally we'll ask for forgiveness. So it's like, no, it's a serious deal. And that's what I've seen in our ministry, Restored to Freedom, is that people have told me when they've gotten through deliverance, they're like, wow, now I feel like a real Christian. I'm not a fake anymore. I actually do have good fruit now. And I have peace, and I don't have to cover up my lies or cover up my behavior with lying. And I can tell the truth about how I used to behave and how I no longer like that. So, amen, amen. And again, a lot of people are talking about revival and being revivalists. So I'm like, well, you can't have revival until you repent for the sin and you forgive people and you get yourself to where you are a pure and spotless bride. Then at that point, you will be revived. And you'll be excited and help other people. That's why we're seeing more and more people every single day. Every week we're getting more and more people that are asking for deliverance, coming in saying, please, please, I want deliverance. I need deliverance. I am so tormented. So then on Sunday morning, decided, obviously, time to drive back to where I'm staying at in Minneapolis, or south of Minneapolis. 8 hours driving back. Then I started seeing so many signs that the Lord was showing me to speak to me. First I passed the Badlands. And of course, the Badlands, the Lord had reminded me this a year ago, that symbolically we all live in the Badlands of the world, because people with demons are everywhere, including all the churches. That just like when we drive through the Badlands and our cars get dusty and dirty, that we have to periodically get our cars washed for them to be clean. Well, we also need to stay clean from people who hurt us, lie about us, betray us, act like a Christian while stabbing us in the back, by forgiving them. Every time we have to forgive. And that can be hard. What happens if you don't forgive someone? If you don't forgive somebody, then God can't forgive us. And then the enemy has legal rights to torment and come against us. And that's what happens. And it's not good. So we have to forgive people, no matter what they do, no matter how horrible that they were. I've talked to people who have been raped multiple times, satanic ritually abused, horrendous things they've gone through. And when you tell them you have to forgive them, they have a really hard time of doing that. And they may say, okay, I forgive them. But you know in their hearts they don't mean it. And I'm like, well, if you don't mean it, the enemy can still keep tormenting your thoughts, and the Lord can't forgive you for what you have done, because we're all going to hurt other people, especially those who have been hurt deeply. They're going to hurt a lot of people. So you can imagine if you've been hurt by your father, your mother, through sexual violations, you've got a lot of demonic stuff that's tormenting your thoughts and your mind, and it's causing you to behave in ways that are not godly, and you're going to be doing things that are not godly. So that's why you have to forgive, so that you can receive the forgiveness from the Lord. And then you can get rid of those demonic spirits that torment your thoughts, and also see a lot of healings that take place. So we have to be in a consistent state of forgiveness. Just like when you're driving through the bad lands, which there are bad lands, bad people, people who have bad demonic spirits everywhere in this world. So that was very symbolic, going through the bad lands. Then, whoever's driven on I-90 has witnessed the wall drug billboards like everywhere. There's probably over 100, I would guess, total on both sides of Interstate 90, advertising to come visit Wall Drug in Wall, South Dakota. I've been there before. I went there, I think, about a year ago, and it is a large place. They do have ice cream there and coffee for 5 cents if you want coffee, cheap. And but I was reminded there by the Lord, saying that, isn't it interesting, it talks about Wall Drugs, how you don't need to take any more drugs as far as prescription drugs and over-the-counter medications or vitamins, because the Lord taught me about his divine health to protect me as long as I didn't get into fear. And now I've been able to be freed from all that stuff since 2009. So it's been 11 straight years since I've taken any prescription drugs or over-the-counter or vitamins. No health insurance either. So it saves me a lot of money as I am trusting in God's health protection. So then after that, Wall, South Dakota, I drove past a town in South Dakota called Winner, W-I-N-N-E-R. The Lord reminded me that I win whenever someone with demons tries to come against me or lie about me, that his anointing will always increase on my life, and more blessings always come after the attacks. And then I was reminded about President Trump, how many people have hated on him, lied about him. And he even admits this, is oftentimes it looks like he's going to lose till the last minute, and then he ends up winning. So he always talks about, even when I lose, I win. And that happened, remember last year, 4 years ago with Clinton, Hillary, that ran against him. And everybody was saying that, oh, she's going to win, she's going to win, she's going to win. And then on the election night, he won. And everybody's like mad and shocked, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. So again, the polls are saying that he's behind Biden. I'm thinking, how can anyone in their right mind ever vote for Biden? He can't even put together 2 sentences, and he smells girls' hair and wants them to sit on his lap. He's very disgusting and demented, and can't even talk very sensical. Again, have you guys seen the videos? There's a video of him where he was like a person who's doing a parody about being in the workplace at this one company, and showing a person speaking the exact words that he spoke. And when you listen to that, you're like, what the heck? This is embarrassing, So I'm like, anyone that's a Democrat that is excited about Biden, I'm thinking, man, you need to get a checkup, because that's crazy. No one in their right mind would ever even hire him for a regular job at this point. So I believe that their plan is they're going to replace him with somebody else before the actual vote of the election. So, because it's like, he's just too ridiculous to even be considered serious contender. So anyways, interesting. So after I passed Winner, and again, when you get delivered, you are a winner. You really are. You are going to be protected and blessed. Doesn't mean you're not going to have to go through stuff. We all go through stuff to become stronger, attacks and so forth. But the Lord does want to bless you. So then I passed a town called Windom. This is when I crossed into Minnesota. Windom, W-I-N-D-O-M. And the Lord said, when you Listen to the Lord, that you have wisdom, and he will cause you to win. Thus you will be blessed with windom. Windom. You are a winner with wisdom. How cool is that? I was like, oh my gosh, never even heard of Wyndham. I've heard of Wyndham Hotels, but that's spelled W-Y-N-D-H-A-M, Windham. But this is Wyndham. And then I saw another billboard that said win, and another billboard that said winners. I kept seeing win, winners, win. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Yay. I want to win over the enemy. I want to win over anyone that wants to be demonic and keep their demons and try to come and attack. We want to win. We want to make them, in a healthy way, jealous to want what we've got as a Christian, you know, and then they will want to get delivered and set free. Then, when I continued on Interstate 90 in Minnesota, I entered Freeborn County. Freeborn. Again, the Lord reminded me that America is the land of the free, and when you give your life, and it's still the land of the free, even though there's evil people wanting to shut down and take it over and collapse it, but the Lord's not going to let that happen. Trump's going to get reelected, so amen, amen. So again, the Lord reminded me that America is the land of the free. When you give your life to Christ and then get delivered, that you feel free from the former enemy attacks that you went through, and it's like you're born again in a free way, thus free-born. Then I noticed that when I turned north, finally, after 7 hours of driving on I-90, turned north onto I-35, Interstate 35, which goes up to Minneapolis. And then I saw, I don't know, after maybe 20 miles or something, a billboard on the west side of Interstate 35 that was talking about a bail bond company, and it showed a woman's face, and it said, "Face of Freedom." Face of freedom. And when you get delivered, your face changes from looking stressed and angry and sexually seductive, perverted, all these evil things, to purity and peace and joy and righteousness. So you have the face of freedom. Yay! So how cool is that? When we actually pay attention to some of the signs that are out there. As a cicada is like 10 feet from me, making a very loud hurrah. I don't even know how in the world the cicadas do that. I would like to maybe, I don't know, get really, really close and see if they rub their legs together or something to make that annoying sound. So anyway, there are so many signs that the Lord shows us if we are just at peace to see them, and that we are tuned in to listen. Because a lot of us that aren't freed yet, we're blowing past all these signs. We're mad, we're angry, we get all these negative thoughts, and it's torment, and more torment. So no one has peace, and they have no time to see the signs that the Lord wants to give them. So again, I see the number 17, or combinations of numbers that total up to 17, probably 30 to 50 times a day, just a lot. 17 means overcoming the enemy and complete victory, as Jesus also arose from the dead on Nisan 17. So again, I see a lot of the number 17. So keep your spiritual eyes turned on every day and night, and watch how the Lord will speak to you and lead you to more truth and revelation than you can ever imagine. And there's a lot of people that I have had reach out to me in the last couple of weeks saying they are seeing so much from the Lord. They're seeing so many visions. They're seeing so many dreams, and seeing so many signs, like on the road when they're driving. They're seeing colors, like the color green. I was seeing a whole bunch of the color green of cars, like, I don't know what you call it, very, very bright colored green everywhere. And I'm really excited about this weekend, because this weekend we've got 2 breakthrough events, which I hadn't done 2 in one weekend for a while. But Friday night, it'll be in Lonsdale, Minnesota. The address is on the website, as well as Restore to Freedom page in Fremont, what's it called? In Facebook, on Facebook. And so it's going to be packed. The house is a very large house, so don't worry about catching anything. No one's here caught anything, so you won't catch anything. And there are people that are coming from Minneapolis and all over Minnesota, and I think some from Iowa and Ohio and Wisconsin. So if you can get here early, before 7 o'clock, they're going to have some finger foods, or bring some finger foods. If you get here at 7, of course, we're going to start the ministry and then go until probably 8:45-ish, and then we'll conclude that with some more food that they'll have here. So come on out. This is going to be a special time, again, of getting soul wounds healed, going through deliverance, feeling more peace, and so forth. And that, again, is Friday the 28th at 7 p.m. is when it starts, Central Time. And then on the 29th, we are really excited. I'm seeing so many people sign up for the breakthrough in Fargo, North Dakota / Moorhead, Minnesota. It's actually at a courtyard that's in the Minnesota side, Moorhead, Minnesota. And we've got now, how many people? I don't know, 75 people or something like that that have been registered between Facebook and Eventbrite. And so we normally see, I don't know, half of that will show up, so we'll probably get to 40 to 50, but come on out. We are, again, I've never been up to do ministry. I've been to Fargo a couple times on business, not in the winter. That's not the time to go to Fargo when it's January. So come on out for that. And then I am booked every weekend between now and the election, except for one weekend in October, which that looks like I'm going to be going to Orlando. And so that will be exciting. I haven't done ministry yet in Orlando, and that'll be in October. But let me see where I'm going to be at. Oh yeah, Chicago. Coming to Naperville. That's next weekend. Yeah, next Saturday, September 5th, Labor Day weekend. So going to the Marriott in Naperville, and that is also filling up. We got a lot of people. I think over 30 people on Eventbrite, and then another 14 that are on Facebook. So that's what, 44. So again, coming to Chicago for the first time on the 5th of September, and then on the 12th, coming back to Indiana, to Anderson, Indiana. I might be going to Lima, Ohio as well. Stay tuned on that. And then on the 19th of September, going to Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Excited about that. People are signed up for that more and more as well. And that, I believe, I think the home is on the beach, I think. So, but I don't know exactly. But we will see. That's on the 19th of September. And then the 25th, 26th, I'll be in Jacksonville, Florida at, what is the name? The name of the church is called, let's see, do I have a, I don't know if I have a picture of it. I might have a picture of it. Let me see. Again, River House is who is hosting me. I think I have it here. Yes. Okay, good. Harvest Time Sanctuary Church of God in Jacksonville, September 25th, 26th. And then October, the first weekend, looking at possibly coming to Orlando. And then October 18th, I will be in, where am I at? At Fountain Gate Merkel Church in Merkel, Texas, which is west of Dallas, which is west of Abilene. And then October 25th, I'll be in Odessa, Texas. And then I'm going to go vote. Yay, Trump. And then December 6th, Ecclesia Global. Now, I may be doing some ministry in November. Don't have anything on the docket yet. But December 6th, coming out to California, Anaheim. And we'll be doing ministry in California, probably throughout the month of California. Oh my gosh, the month of December. What is going on? The month of California. It'll be a month of California in December. So anyway, that'll be a nice place to go, I think, in the Christmas time. So, alrighty. So that's it. So be aware. Look for the Lord showing you and revealing to you signs and wonders and trying to get you on the right road. So, alrighty. I think that's it. So I will let you guys go, and there you go. All right, I'll let you guys go. Love you. See ya. Bye.